I recently started getting back into playing YuGiOh, and I just wanted to share my journey as a budget player. And I'm also more a casual player, but still go to tournaments, try to do my best, but I'm not playing like the most optimized deck. I try to play what's fun to me, and I think that's a perspective worth sharing, and I would really like to share my journey so far and hopefully also my future journey. Last October, I got back into YuGiOh. I bought 3 Traptrix structure decks and used that to build a deck to go to locals with. Then I slowly upgraded my deck, which I will show you shortly. And yesterday I went to an OTS championship in a place where I usually play locals. And I wanted to share my deck with you and the more more budget approach to YuGiOh, but because I think even the budget channels and videos on YouTube are often not really bound by their budget and they give great tips to budget players, but they don't really have the perspective of a budget player, I think, because they can, if they want, just get the better cards, and that's, I think, not possible for everyone. So I just wanted to share my view as someone who is bound by that budget, because currently I'm a university student and I don't have a lot of money, and most often I can't even go to locals because of that. But over the last 4 months I built a deck and went to a tournament, and it's great fun playing again, and I want to share that. So let's get into the deck I built first. I play 3 Mamalio, 3 Mantis, 3 Pudica, 2 Dioneer, an Arachnocampa, and a Vesticulo. I really like this lineup. I think it's more or less standard. I think playing the Vesticulo is really great, even though some people don't do it, because it just allows you some lines that Arachno doesn't, because it locks you into plants and insects, and Vesticulo doesn't. Also, her second effect is nice in the grind game, even though I tend to forget to use it. Then 1 field spell for the Boudica. Then the trap lineup. First, 3 Holotea, which is very important to trigger Serra on your first turn. And then a very big trap hole lineup. I like it, it's very nice, especially in the longer grind games I often get into. I'm really thankful that I play a lot of trap holes, and in siding I just side the ones I don't use in the matchup out. 2 Gravediggers, I was at first running 1 of this and 2 of the Floodgate, which I'm running 1 now, but then I changed to 2 Gravediggers because it's just very frustrating drawing the 1 Gravediggers and then getting Nibiru. So second one helps a lot with that. So when you do your Rafflesia with your 5th summon and your enemy wants to Nibiru you can just activate the Rafflesia, sending the Gravediggers and negate the Nibiru. Then 1 Terrifying, 1 Nightmare, 1 Bottomless. That's my lineup I'm currently using. I want to try out some others, especially Banishing Trap Holes, which banishes a monster or monsters with 1000 or 1500 or lower 80k face down. So it's like a better bottomless trap holes for weak monsters, and I really want to try it. Maybe try if I can disable plays from an enemy from the beginning, not let him get into the big monsters, just stopping the small ones. Then 3 Paralytic Seed, which is a great extender. I sometimes sided it out this tournament going second, and I really regretted it. I think going forward, if I want to side out monsters, I will go more for the Pudicas. 3 Pot of Prosperity for the consistency. This is still kind of expensive and not really needed. It's just nice to have. You can play other cards, play more non-engine, maybe play another Arachnocampa, so you have an easier time playing through hand traps, or playing a trap hole more, up to you, not really needed. Then my non-engine. my hand traps. 3 imperm, which I highly recommend if you can afford it. This card is great because you, first of all, it's a good hand trap. Second of all, you can pitch it for Holotea, which is really nice. Free draw, I just think it's very good because it can stop so many decks dead in their tracks, especially if you have another hand trap. It can mess up many decks very much. And in Traptrix, it's really nice if you have hand traps where you can just stop your opponent from building a board, because breaking a board is much harder than with this deck than building your own board and then defending it. Then 3 Ash Blossom, which is very nice because it comes in the structure deck, and 2 Nibiru's. These can also be swapped out for other hand traps. I just really like to get rid of their fleet, because getting rid of the Nibiru token is very easy because you can just special summon Pudica, and if they have nothing else banished, they don't even get something back in their next standby phase. So yeah. I also thinking of maybe cutting another trap hole for another hand trap, but at the moment I'm very happy with the ratios I'm at. But sometimes there could be a bit more hand traps. So, then into the side deck. Free Sarah, great card. This, I think, is the card that makes this deck playable. It just gives you a +2 like every turn. It's really nice if you can trigger both effects on every turn, your turn, the opponent's turn. Especially on the opponent's turn, when you activate a Traptrix monster effect, you can just set back a Holotea for next turn and then go off again on your turn. And also load up your grave with Holoteas, which is so nice. Also, this triggers when your enemy activates a normal trap, which is really nice against Imperms or Labyrinth players. Yeah, I really liked it. Also, a lot of players just forget that this is unaffected by traps. Like, all the Link monsters are unaffected by traps, and all the Xyz monsters are unaffected by traps as long as they have material. Then next, Oedipus. This is just great for the OTK, gives all your all your Traptrix monsters 1000 ATK, and many times if you begin and can control your opponent the next turn, you can OTK them with Oedipus, which is really great. 2 Rafflesia, which is more than the standard, I think, but I play it because I play so many trap hosts. But this might be a card I'm going to cut down if I want to put something other in here. 1 Pinguiculia, great card. The search effect is nice, but the effect I really like, and I really underestimated at first, is the effect where you can put enemy monster that is banished or destroyed by a card effect as material under this. It's fantastic. I really like it. So many games where your opponent just needs the critical piece in the graveyard, like for example played against Sky Striker and got the Ray as material. It's so great, and additionally it's unaffected by monsters of the same type as her material, which means in some decks you just have this monster here unaffected by your enemy monsters, which is very nice. 1 Alumeris. Her second effect, where you can special summon a monster, is maybe something I should try to use more, because often I don't really use it. I most often just use her to revive one on my third turn and then go for a OTK with Oedipus. Redoer. Absolute great card. If you just buy one card for this deck, get this. You can make it so consistently with Trap as material with Holotea, and this effect is just really versatile, especially if you get some traps or spells from your enemy deck. It's such a great card, and it can give you so much value, and also it can protect itself. Zeus, I think this is the most expensive card at like 10 euros in this deck. I think it's worth it, but if you're on a budget, cut this. It does come up, but you can play a lot around a lot of stuff even without this. But if you can afford it, it's very nice to have, because you can make it very easily. Just make one of these and lay it on top. Then 1 Cowboy for time, 1 Dweller for graveyard matchups, and 1 Baguska as a last resort. Then 2 cards I am going to cut as soon as I have the replacements is Castell, which is still really nice removal and incredibly cheap. If you don't have the budget, consider him. He's non-destruction removal, or he can flip a monster face down. It is very helpful. Sometimes you just need to get rid of a card on the field, which the Traptrix on themselves don't really do. The only one that can pop something is Oedipus, and non-destruction removal of a monster that's already on the field is not really there in archetype, so it's very nice. I mean, Pudica is there, but they will get the monster back eventually or something better. And the last thing I was playing is a Nightmare Unicorn. For pretty much the same reasons as Castell, just a way to remove a monster. And the one thing Unicorn does that Castell can't is you can use your Link and Xyz monster as material. But those two will likely get replaced soon, one with Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, because getting around towers is a nightmare with this deck. You can like buff your Pingu with Oedipus to 3500 attacks, but that's the only thing you can really do against tower. Maybe evenly matched, which I have in the side. You could also play Kaijus, but drawing a Kaiju is then your only option, which still is not really that accessible. So I really want to get an Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, and this will be replaced with a Baromet, the Sacred Sheep Shrub or so. It's also rank 4 Xyz monster, which takes 2 materials. It is importantly a plan, so you can still make it after you used Arachnokampa. The effects are not that great, but I really just like it and want to use it, and if I'm not happy with it, I still can just side it out, put it out of the deck again. The first effect of the sheep I want to get is you can detach 1 material and target a normal trap in your grave, put it back into the deck, and draw a card. This I really like because you play a lot of hand traps and a lot of trap holes, so the chance that you draw something is like, I think 50% with the hand traps and the trap holes. So 50% of drawing something you could use. It's very nice, especially this is not the only Xyz monster you make. It's like when you're making a second Xyz and you don't necessarily want a Pingu or Adomerus, or for example don't have Hodoteas that on board to make a Time Thief. And the second effect is when a trap is activated, you can detach a material of an Xyz monster. This could be, for example, the second material of your Rafflesia, which you're most likely not gonna use anyway, because in most scenarios you will link away the Rafflesia and the Serra you made first turn for your Oedipus in the third turn, and 1 material just goes to waste. So you can, when a trap is activated, detach a material from any Xyz monster and then special summon a monster from your hand. So if you have excess Traptrix monsters in your hand, like Pudica or Mermelio, which happens because you just play a lot of normal summons, because you need to get into 1 Traptrix monster to make Serra, otherwise this deck is fucked. But it makes use of those cards, and that's why I want to try it. Also, if you just need something to lay under Zeus, you can use its first effect, draw a card, and then make Zeus, still with 2 materials. Yeah, so that's why I want to replace these 2 with the other 2 cards, and I'm really looking forward to getting those. Lastly, the side deck. 3 one-offs, 1 Call by the Grave, just nice going first, because hand traps kind of hurt you. Very much, to be fair, but there also are a lot of extenders. If you draw Holotea and a trap or Parallel Exceed, you can also play through a lot of hand traps, to be honest. 1 Floodgate Trap Hole, just when I'm going first, I like to do... yeah, my bad. If you are... sorry for that. My lamp fell. If you're going first, more trappers is just nice, and you can, against most matchups, side out some of your non-engine going first. Especially something like Nibiru, which isn't that great going first and nuking your own field. Then the last Nibiru, for the decks it's good again. Against then, 3 Shifter, 4 combo decks, which use their Graveyard or Fire King Snake Eyes, because this deck has a very, Traptrix has a very hard time with dealing with established boards. It's very nice if there are decks running around which can't play under Shifter just to disable those decks. You can more or less play under Shifter. Yeah, it's kind of sad banishing all your monsters and your Holoteas. Would be nice to have them in the graveyard, but I will take that in exchange for my opponent can't play on their first turn. And this is also the reason why this is in the side deck and not in the main deck for me, because it feels really bad, for me at least, blind shiftering going first and playing against something like Kashtira or Flu, which just, there's a lot at my locals. At least I played 1 or 2 every time I'm there, and it feels bad doing that, and also feels bad just holding it and having a useless card in your first time. Yeah, against a lot of other decks it's great, but I think the other hand traps do also a good enough job. And so I just side this in if I know the matchup is hurt enough by it, or is more hurt than me. 3 evenly matched to get rid of boards. 3-dimensional barrier, because against decks that are very synchro or Xyz focus, okay, also pendulum focus, but there are not that many. So against decks that play a lot of synchros and Xyz, that's very great. It just shuts them down for a turn. And Solemn Judgment against all the mass macro removal like Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster, evenly matched, because those cards can mess you up. Evenly matched is like the worst thing that can happen to you if you have no judgment. Lightning Storm and Harpies can be kind of dodged if you have an Arachnocampa, or you can get to one, but it's still very nice to have this as a backup, because more often than not you don't have the Arachnocampa because you needed something different or you couldn't search it. So Judgments I think is really nice also. Lastly, I want to shortly go over my matchups I had. First match, can put the cards back here, though not the Traptrix monsters on top, but first match I played was against Manadium. I won the first game actually quite clean. Then the second game I had really hard time breaking his board, and then the third game was a back and forth, but eventually he won. It was, all the duels yesterday were really fun, and I at the end found out he went like 6-1 and was 4th or 3rd place. So to be honest, losing against him was totally fine. Like I said, it was very much fun. The second game I won against a Yumi deck, which played like some Sea Serpent pens of some level 5 Sea Serpents, which he can just normal summon if he have his field spell, but the deck couldn't really do that much against my Traptrix monsters and didn't really establish a threatening board, because first game I just think he had a hard time playing through my board, and second game I evenly matched him, so a single card in his deck didn't really do anything, so it was very easy to play through this. The third game was through Wanderies, which I play against every locus I feel like, and I have so much trouble playing against it, but that's not because Flu is too strong, that's just because it's a bit too complicated for me at the moment, and I haven't really gotten behind it and where to interact with it the best. But it was a draw, it was a 1-1. I won the game after back and forth. I could OTK him. And then for the second game, we went into time. I think in his first turn, and he won because he just hit 500 with that one flu card where you send one monster from field and can search another one, I think. So yeah. The next match was against Kashtira. It was also very nice. First game I lost. It was a nice back and forth, but I had some problems breaking his board, and in the end he just had more resources. The second game was very standard for Traptrix, I would say. I was going first. Did my combo, he didn't really interrupt me. I had a judgment, and then I just denied him everything on his next turn, flipped one monster face down, which is with Floodgate Trapper, which is horrible for Kashtira because they can't really do much after that except for use Kashtira Birth, and I judgmented his normal summon, and that was that. Then I could OTK him next round. And the other round, I think we just went into time and he could deal damage to me. I'm not sure anymore. To be honest, it was a very long day yesterday with 7 rounds. Next one was against Earth Machine. I think this was like the second most fair, equally powered duel. It was really funny. It was very back and forth. I misplayed a lot I noticed later, because on many occasions I should have just taken whatever he was putting into grave of his big machinima machine monsters he destroyed and put into the grave as material for my Pingu, and I didn't do that all the time. Sometimes I waited for him to go into another thing I could take, which was wrong. He won that, but it was very fun. Then I played against Raid Raptor. I think this was the fastest match of the game. I started game 1, made my basic combo, and he couldn't play through it, and scooped after his first turn then. Second game, I could somewhat hinder him with hand traps going first, so he couldn't immediately establish a board, but he also could stop me from establishing one, and then he got his 2 towers and OTK'd me. Last game was very similar to the first game. I just denied him. I went first, made my combo. He had a really bad hand. He had like 3 different Raptor names, 2 times each, and he just couldn't play through it. I just could stop everything he was doing. The last round, and I think the best round I had yesterday, was against Sky Striker, and it was just 2 games because the first one took forever. It was a really interesting back and forth where he won in the end, but then we went very close to time, and I just could deal enough damage to him in my 3rd round. Just right before going into time, it was his main phase when time was called, but he tried to heal it off with Kaine, but it was like 4,000 damage, and he just couldn't do it. It felt very skillful, that match, and I had a lot of fun. In general, yesterday, all of the matches I really enjoyed, and I hope to be back playing Locus again soon, because it's very nice. Yeah, I hope this is insightful, and I really want to keep sharing my progress as a budget player, and I hope I can record my future tournament results and decks in the future, yeah. So thanks for watching.